You wake up. 8 hours, clean sheets. Alarm didn't even startle you. And yet, your body feels like it's wading through wet concrete. You check your phone. 8 hours and 12 minutes. A full night by every definition you've ever been taught. So why does it feel like you slept for 20 minutes in an airport chair? Here's the uncomfortable part. You're not imagining this, and it's probably not your sleep. Somewhere along the way, we decided that sleep was a number. 8 hours, the magic threshold, the finish line. Hit it, and you win the day. Miss it, and you lose. It's clean. It's simple. It fits on a fitness tracker screen. It's also, often enough, wrong. That millions of people are doing everything right and still dragging themselves through their mornings like they're recovering from something. This matters right now because an entire generation has been trained to treat sleep duration as the only variable that counts. 8 hours became a religion. People schedule their lives around it, feel guilty when they miss it, feel smug when they hit it. But duration was never the whole story. It was just the easiest part to measure. So if it's not the number of hours, what is it? Let's start with what actually happens while you're unconscious. Because most people have a vague, almost cartoonish idea of sleep. You close your eyes, your brain turns off, you wake up recharged. That's about as accurate as saying a car runs because you turn the key. In reality, your night is built from cycles, roughly 90 minutes each. Inside each cycle, you move through different stages: light sleep, deep sleep, and REM, the dreaming stage. And here's the part almost nobody tells you plainly. These stages are not interchangeable. They do completely different jobs. Deep sleep is where your body does physical repair, tissue recovery, immune system maintenance, growth hormone release. This is the stage that makes you feel physically rested. REM sleep is where your brain does its filing, memory consolidation, emotional processing, that strange dream logic that somehow helps you make sense of your day. This is the stage that makes you feel mentally sharp. You need both, not one or the other, both in the right proportions across the entire night. And this is where the 8-hour myth quietly falls apart.
Picture two people. Both sleep 8 hours. Both wake up at the same time. One of them spends a healthy chunk of the night in deep sleep and REM, cycling cleanly through each stage. The other spends most of that same 8 hours in light sleep, technically asleep, technically unconscious, but barely dipping into the stages that actually repair the body and reset the brain. Same duration, completely different outcomes. One person wakes up resourced. The other wakes up running on fumes and has no idea why, because the only metric they were ever taught to track was the clock. So what pulls someone into that second category? Why would a full night of sleep fail to deliver real rest? A few quiet culprits, and they're rarely dramatic. The first is fragmentation, not full wake-ups you'd remember, micro-awakenings, sometimes lasting only seconds that you never register. Your phone buzzing on the nightstand, a partner shifting, noise from outside, a blood sugar dip from a heavy late dinner. Each one is small, but each one is enough to knock you out of a deep sleep stage and reset the clock on getting back into it. String enough of these together, and you can spend 8 hours horizontal and still barely touch the stages that matter. The second is timing, specifically your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that decides when your body wants deep repair to happen and when it doesn't. Sleep at 1 a.m. and wake at 9, and you're technically getting your 8 hours, but you're getting them on the wrong end of your biological window, which means you're front-loading light sleep and shortchanging the deep stages your body was designed to deliver earlier in the night. And the third is the most ironic one, stress hormones, specifically cortisol, the hormone meant to wake you up and keep you alert during the day. If cortisol stays elevated into the evening from late workouts, late caffeine, doom scrolling, work stress that never fully switches off, it suppresses deep sleep, even while you appear, from the outside, completely asleep. You can be lying still, breathing slow, eyes closed for 8 hours while your nervous system quietly runs a low-grade version of daytime alertness the entire night. In other words, you can fail at sleep while looking, by every visible measure, like you're succeeding at it. That's the uncomfortable fact at the center of all this. Sleep isn't one thing you either get or don't get. It's a layered process, and the layer that actually restores you can be quietly skipped, while the surface version, lying down, eyes closed, hours logged, plays out perfectly normally. Now contrast that how sleep gets marketed to us. The wellness industry sells sleep like a vending machine. Put in 8 hours, get out energy. Buy this mattress, this supplement, this tracker. Hit the number, collect your reward. It's a clean transaction, and clean transactions sell products. The reality is closer to a negotiation. Your body is constantly weighing stress, light exposure, meal timing, movement, temperature, and a dozen other inputs before deciding how much deep sleep and REM it's actually going to grant you that night. Duration is just one input among many, and arguably not even the most important one. This is why someone can sleep 7 hours after a calm, sunlit day with regular meals and feel sharper after 8 hours following a stressful night of screens and skipped dinner. The math doesn't add up if you only count hours. It adds up perfectly once you understand that your body isn't counting hours either.
Here's where it gets a little unsettling. Chronic light sleep, night after night of technically adequate but functionally shallow rest, doesn't just leave you tired. Over months and years, this pattern has been associated with effects far beyond grogginess. Impaired glucose regulation, weakened immune response, disrupted emotional regulation, the kind that makes ordinary frustrations feel disproportionately heavy. Not because you slept 0 hours, because you spent years sleeping 8 technically correct hours that never reached the stages doing the actual work. There's a quiet absurdity in that. An entire culture obsessed with the number 8, while the thing that number was supposed to represent, real restorative sleep, quietly slips out the back door, undetected, night after night. And the most unsettling part isn't the science. It's that most people will never know which category they fall into. You don't get a notification that says, "Tonight you skipped deep sleep." You just wake up, blame the mattress, blame the coffee, blame Monday, and move on, recalibrating your expectations downward instead of asking the better question. So, if duration isn't the full answer, what should you actually be paying attention to? Not obsessing over a tracker score. Those are estimates, not lab measurements, and chasing a number can become its own kind of stress. The more honest approach is noticing patterns. How consistent is your sleep and wake time, even on weekends? How much light, especially screen light, are you getting in the hour before bed? Is your last meal close enough to bedtime that digestion is competing with deep sleep for your body's attention? Is your evening actually winding down, or is it just daytime with the lights dimmed? These aren't dramatic interventions. They're quiet, almost boring, which is probably why they get ignored in favor of louder solutions, supplements, gadgets, 8-hour mandates that feel like they're doing something, even when the real lever was never duration in the first place. So here's where this leaves us. You can do everything you were told, 8 hours, lights off, alarms set, and still wake up feeling like the night failed you, not because you broke the rule, but because the rule was incomplete from the start. The real question isn't how many hours you slept last night. It's what your body actually did with them. And that's a question almost nobody is asking.